I'd like to introduce the lovely and talented and wise Alison Armstrong. Welcome, Alison.
Thank you, Michelle. That's really sweet.
So thank you so much for joining us. And I want to give the bulk of the time today to you. But for those of you that are not as familiar with Alison's work, I'm just going to share a little bit about her. And then towards the end of our conversation today, we'll share with you how you can go deeper with some of the wisdom and her work. So Alison Armstrong is an author, educator, and the creator of the widely acclaimed Queen's Code workshop series, which asks the question, what if no one is misbehaving, including you? She explores the good reasons behind the behavior of men and women, such as fundamental differences in the ways we think, act, and communicate. And she offers simple partnership-based solutions to improve our communication and intimacy by honoring ourselves and by honoring others. She's known for her insight, sense of humor, and ability to articulate the human experience and the predicament of gender. So Alison, I'm so excited to have you here, and our topic today I think is going to be very juicy. It's called relationships versus partnerships. What is the difference? So that's a really interesting and intriguing question to start us right out. And I would love for you to share with us a little bit about that and why you chose this topic.
Well, I chose this topic because it's what I am the most excited about and engaged in right now. And after almost 26 years of studying men and then blowing my mind over and over and over again, there's always something new that I'm working on. And what this has to do with is another one of the major differences that we found between men and women and our natural, or you could call it default or instinctive way of relating. And what we found that is, to me, super exciting because we can transform it, is that one of the things that is throwing men and women off from the very beginning is that they're actually not even looking for the same thing. And they use the same words, so they think they're talking about the same thing, but they're not. And what it is that most women are looking for a romantic relationship, or they might say a committed romantic relationship, or they might just say marriage, right? They're looking to be married, or they're looking to be in that long-term relationship. Well, a man may say the same thing as well. Yeah, I want to be in a relationship. But if you let him talk longer, he'll start using the word partnership. I'm looking for a partner. And as women, we think we know what he's talking about. Oh, yeah, your partner is the person you're in your romantic relationship with, right? That's how they're interchangeable. But what we've discovered is that relationships and partnerships aren't actually based in the same thing, and they're not interacting about the same things, but you have two people who think they are.
Wow.
So that's what I really want to illuminate for people today, and then propose that maybe what we really want to do is transform our relationships into partnerships, because that's where the real goodies are.
Ooh, I can't wait. Say more about this. This is such a juicy topic, I can tell.
Okay, so I'm going to use two words that won't sound juicy, and they won't sound romantic at all, and yet they're, near as I can tell, the keys to the kind of union that many women are looking for. And that is that relationships, I propose that relationships are based in expectations. And I'm going to say a whole lot more about that. While partnerships are actually created through accountability. And for many women, their frustration, the source of their frustrations with men, is that they have an expectation that if a man feels a particular way about them, then he'll behave in a particular way. Mm-hmm. And that when he doesn't behave in the way that they expect, it must mean he doesn't feel the way that they're looking for. And so they try to change the way he feels about them so that then his behavior will follow. Are you with me so far?
Yes, yes.
So what happens is when a man doesn't behave the way a woman expects him to, which, as you know, because you're familiar with my work, we largely expect men to behave the way a woman would.
Right.
Right? And so when a woman is expecting a man to behave the way a woman would in that circumstance, and he doesn't, then she tries to hold him to account for that. Mm-hmm. So she'll accuse him of not behaving the way that he should have because, right? And she'll project onto her own reasons why she would behave that way. Would only be because she didn't really love someone, because she didn't really respect someone, because she wasn't really happy with them, because she didn't really want to be with them, because, right? So she'll project her reasons onto his behavior. And probably 95 times out of 100, he'll deny it. He'll be like, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous, right? So he'll refuse to be held to account for not behaving the way she expected him to, mm-hmm. which then has women think that men aren't accountable. Can you see that? You can't trust them. They're not accountable. They refuse to be held accountable. How are you ever going to build anything on this?
Right.
Do you want to say anything about that before I go on?
Well, one thought that just came to me while you were speaking is my husband sometimes says this thing that's kind of funny. And he says, if I do something and it can be interpreted in more than one way, and one of those ways is hurtful to you, I meant it the other way.
That's awesome. What is your husband's first name?
His name is Benjamin. We've been married for 10 years. I got married to him at 43. And, another thing that came to me is when we first started going out, Alison, and I think this might be an example of an expectation, I had this expectation that we would be very open and sharing in the way we communicated. And I found that when I asked him questions, he oftentimes would answer me in very brief, concise ways. Now, I've been married to this man for 10 years now, so what I've learned is he's efficient in the way he does everything, including his speech. What can take me 3 paragraphs to say, he can say in a sentence. And I interpreted that initially as being, well, he's not really being very open with me or being very communicative with me, but he was showing up, his behavior, he was showing up fully present for me in so many ways. And fortunately, I had the wisdom to pay attention to who he was and how he was showing up, and not just this one little piece where I thought, well, he's really a man of few words. We get on the phone and the conversation, we're fortunate if it lasts 5 minutes. So I'm just wondering, is that an example perhaps of what we're talking about here?
Exactly, because I like to look at men and women in terms of being hunters and gatherers, and both men and women operate in what we call hunting or gathering mode, but it's like an operating system that has a complete framework. And so when, as a man or a woman, you commit to a specific result or intention or destination or a goal, you're now in the hunting framework. And in the hunting framework, what you're speaking to and what you're listening about is the point or the problem.
The point or the problem?
The point or the problem. If everybody's flying, you just get to the point. What's the point? Is there a point? Are we going to get to a point here? Can we get to the point? Right? So they listen for the point and they'll speak right to the point. And it fits in that framework. And if you're really hunting a result yourself, even as a woman, you'll do the same thing. You'll get right to the point, and you'll get frustrated with people who aren't getting right to the point. because they're wasting your time and you have a deer to catch. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Now, when we're in a gathering mode or a gathering framework, details mean everything, because you got to go to the meadow and come back with the right kind of berry at the right level of ripeness, and make sure you don't get the one that looks a little bit different but will poison the whole tribe. And if you found the berry bush and it's 2 days from being ripe and you can't go back, you got to convey all these instructions to your tribe mates, so they'll go back and get the berries for everybody, and you got to make sure they get to the right place. And every detail, our life depends on it. And as women, we know that you only don't share details with people you don't trust. With the people you think are going to steal your berries. How is the party? Fine. How are you? I'm good. So when a man is just getting to the point, right? I'm fine. I'm good. I care about you. Yes, we should definitely go out again. We're like, yes, and they're like, no, and that's all. We think, oh, he's not being open with me.
Right.
Right? And men are mystified by this. This is what our Understanding Women workshop sorts out for them, because they're also mystified by how a woman will change. So getting to the point one day they love, and the next day they're upset about. And another day they're like, okay, she wants me to share a lot of details, but she's getting really impatient. And could you just get to the point? Wait, but yesterday And men experience women as a moving target. And it's because we are. Because what estrogen does to our brain is it makes it much easier to shift gears. Our brains are not divided into very separate rooms the way that testosterone does to a brain. And so we can switch from hunting to gathering like that. And for a man to switch from hunting to gathering, from being very focused to being open to possibilities and alternatives, and this way that we love it when men are that way, which they're usually only that way when they're at play, they actually have to go through a whole set of rituals to get into that mindset where we just switch. We're on a deadline and we're very focused. Then you give me more time, extra time, a call cancels, I've got plenty of time. All of a sudden I'm open to possibilities.